Ladies and gentlemen and in-betweeners, on this week's On the Rocks, we have Drag Race, Star Trek, and activism. These are just a few of our favorite things as we chat with Drag Race alum Miz Cracker, Star Trek Next Generation, Voyager, and Picard actor and activist Jonathan Del Arco, and my guest co-host, Trekkie aficionado Christos Giannaris, and me, your favorite host with the sassy most. Raise a glass and let the drinks begin. Engage.
Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Buttons and bows and pantyhose, On the Rocks podcast, a place where we're too glam to give a damn. I have come to the realization that Christmas decorating is just like dieting. It seems like a great idea, and you're all revved up to start, and you look at the boxes of stuff and the tangled lights, and you're like, how about we just put some garland on the front door and call it a day? Ho, ho, ho. Yes, well, it's true. Like us on Twitter and Instagram at On The Rocks On Air. Send me an email. Book me for a wedding, funeral, quinceanera, bris. I don't care. I will be there. Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. Send us your questions and comments and nudes. Our show today is brought to you by DragFor.Fans. Brought to you by the creators of the award-winning site JustFor.Fans. DragFor.Fans connects your favorite drag queens with their fans. Live streaming shows, one-on-ones, and more. Whether you're a queen or a fan, sign up for your free account at DragFor.Fans today. Also, Gay Desert Guide. I am hosting on Zoom a digital Star Trek dating for single men on Wednesday, February 3rd at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Trek trivia, speed mini dates, and more. Set your phasers to stunning and go to gaydesertguide.com/events for more info. Kurt, do you have a pun for us? You're so punny.
I always have a pun.
Okay, hurry up, Kurt. We got a big show today.
You always rush me for these things.
I know.
All right.
Just like in the bedroom. Hurry up, Kurt. I got things to do. Judge Judy's on. Okay, go on.
Where do original Star Trek fans work out?
Where do they work out? 10 Forward?
At the He's Dead gym.
That's so stupid. He's dead, Jim. Good. He gives himself the drum, and I get nothing. I get crickets.
You need a button.
Either a button or a new engineer. Thank you, Kurt. That was so funny. The show's presented by Straw Hut Media. You can watch and or listen to our over 235 episodes at ontherocksradioshow.com. Hello to our listeners around the nation on every major podcast platform and on the Facebook pages of GED Magazine, Gay Desert Guide, and I Love Gay LGBT, and of course our very own On the Rocks Radio Show Facebook page. We are now streaming on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV on the OutAt.tv app. Follow us wherever you can catch us and leave a comment. Okay, let me introduce my guest co-host today. Raised in Ohio, lived in Hawaii for 18 years, and now in San Diego for 7 years, Christos Giannaris is the self-proclaimed Greek nerd, having been a Star Trek fan since The Wrath of Khan, though it was Star Trek The Next Generation that helped him define his early youth. He is a multi-uniform and prop-donning convention-goer who has met and stalked the biggest cast member personalities from multiple Trek franchises. Please welcome Christos Giannaris. Hey, girl.
Hey.
So I was raised in Star Trek in my household. My mom would literally take me out of school to go see the latest Trek films. I'm probably dating myself. Starting with the original cast. But my family growing up was just me and my mom. I was the only Latino kid in school. I was chubby, lower income, dealing with my sexuality. Star Trek universe was literally my family. Like showing me that no matter who you were, what you looked like, where you came from, you could still be a hero and still find friends or family in your friends.
There's representation everywhere in Star Trek.
There truly is, especially nowadays, which we're going to talk to with Jonathan Del Arco when he shows up. But how did Star Trek affect you? Like, what was it about the Star Trek franchise that kind of affected you?
Well, I remember seeing Wrath of Khan when I was probably 5 or 6 years old. That's dating myself.
That is dating yourself. That's not what your Grindr app says. My first movie was Generations.
First movie as an adult. But I don't know. Wrath of Khan just kind of hooked me in. Everything from the space battle sequences to the over-the-top acting of Shatner and Montalban. Yeah. I fell in love with Kirstie Alley Savick. I just always, poor thing, that woman just gone off the rails. But You know, she'll always be my Savick.
I feel like Robin Curtis needs to go take over her Twitter.
Yeah. Robin Curtis is amazing, by the way.
She is so amazing. If for people who don't know, she took over for Kirstie Alley in Star Trek 3 and 4.
Yeah. I met her last year at STLV, and I walked by the next day, and she's like, Christos, how you doing? And, like, talked to me for a half an hour, and I was like, poor thing had time to talk to me for a half an hour because, you know, she's Robin Curtis, and she's not Patrick Stewart, right? But still.
Well, she remembered your name because she had just filed the restraining order.
So I kind of had to, like, raise the bar higher. Little Savick trivia for you. Did you know that Valaris in Star Trek 6 was supposed to be Savick?
Totally know that. Then Kim Cattrall wanted it. They kind of wanted her, not wanted her. So Kim Cattrall walked into Paramount Studios. She shaved her own hair. She did her own hair and makeup as the Vulcan, and she got the part.
Well, right. And they didn't want to recast Savick for the third actress, which like apparently Robin wasn't good enough to come back. But Kim Cattrall, yeah, she killed it.
She was okay. I actually love Kim Cattrall. Okay. So, but Star Trek has taken part of your life because I think we as gay men, we really are attracted to strong women, which we know the Star Trek universe promoted women, and we're going to talk to Miz Cracker about promoting women. Yep. So I love that about it, but it really be kind of...
Yeah, I mean, I gravitated immediately. Season 1 TNG, I was 10 years old. Beverly Crusher was my favorite, and I think
she still kind of is your like
she still
spirit
is
animal.
She still is my favorite, as everyone, all my friends know. But I think the biggest thing with her is, you know, I kind of realized maybe I kind of looked up to her as a mother figure. I don't know, because I'm like, I don't understand why. I'm not into medicine. I'm not a doctor. Don't want to be.
You play nurse a lot, though.
Sometimes. Anyways.
I did love Crusher. I loved her more because of, I think I was the only person that loved Wesley Crusher. God, he was so hot in those early years. Anyway, we're going to talk more about Star Trek. We're going to talk about the women in our lives. Let's bring on our very first guest. She is in New York City waiting for us. It's probably getting a little late there. She's like, I just want to watch Golden Girls reruns. But I want to introduce, while the rest of us have been eating our weight in gingerbread, funny girl and star of Drag Race Season 10 and All Stars 5 has been kicking it into overdrive. This week, she released her hot-off-the-press single with RuPaul Drag Race alum Jujubee, 8 Days of You. Single and video celebrating friendship and the holidays. And later this week, she releases a candid take on the holiday season with Get Me the F Out of Here. You can spell out F however you want to, by the way. Celebrating the misery, get it? That can often be had when stuck with your relatives, around the menorah, or Christmas tree. In addition to her music releases, she has been hard at work on her new podcast, She's a Woman, inspired by the women in her own life. And she will be talking with incredible, and we got to listen to the first episode, she'll be talking with incredible women from around the world about their achievements, featuring interviews with detectives, pilots, bookstore owners, comics, and more. And you have to tune into episode 1. It'll get you hooked. It's about this amazing woman who owns a bookstore. And Miz Cracker will be hitting the road in the upcoming She's a Woman tour, currently postponed due to COVID. And her music video for She's a Woman has already reached over 1 million downloads. Please welcome Polly Want a Miz Cracker.
Hello.
Hey, girl, you look gorgeous.
I feel gorgeous in this light only.
Girl, I need to take that light wherever I go. Like at that Target checkout when they have that video on you. Like, I need this light.
Oh, absolutely. I saw myself in a CVS security cam and I almost fell over the other day.
Miz Cracker, I have to tell you, and Christos, we had this kind of conversation before. I am such a huge fan of yours for many reasons, but I think the topmost being that you are, you exude sincerity. And you put out this good energy out into the world, and we're going to talk about how your podcast is a little bit different. So getting to chat with you one-on-one is such a treat, girl.
I really appreciate you having me, especially I like to be among nerds, you know.
Well,
it's my home country.
But, you know, we're sexy nerds here. I think all nerds are sexy, by the way.
Yes.
So, and I think we've gotten a bad rap, but I think the last few years has kind of been, we're
taking it back.
Yeah, we're owning our hotness, hot nerds. Now, Miz Cracker, you and I have chatted for our written interviews for GED Magazine and MetroSource Magazine, out this week, by the way. You gave me some of the funniest answers with big personality that I have ever received. And it's hard for that energy to kind of come through written words. I want to know, where did you develop your sense of humor from, and what do you find funny?
Well, I developed my sense of humor from my sister. She was an insult comic and still is, kind of. Like, but
is she
only at
officially,
home.
or?
And I remember one day I told her that the haircut that she got was a mistake, and she told me, well, our parents were married in December, and you were born in April. You were a mistake. Do the math.
That is a burn, girl.
Yeah, and I just remember thinking, like, wow, I'm going to have to be fast if I'm going to be around her. And so I learned how to be fast and how to be smart from just living at home with her.
Well, and your humor it's such a great culmination of like old style, classic Hollywood, like roast humor where it's funny, it's provocative, but it's never rude or vulgar, which I always appreciate. Now, what do you find funny nowadays? Like, what kind of humor do you respond to?
The darkest humor, because it's such a dark world right now. You know, I find flooded.
Oh my God.
All the water from the apartment above me came down through the light fixtures and destroyed all the light fixtures and started destroying my floors.
Oh my
and I just
God.
started laughing because I was like,
They better have insurance.
Any worse than this? You know what I mean? Like, and so yeah, I find that funny. I find the horror of life to be funny.
Well, you have to find that funny, especially like you're in this press blitz, for the last couple of weeks and upcoming. And we're doing all press from home now, so I'm sorry, girl.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know. I'm just gonna. I keep like I'm on the Black Pearl from Pirates of the Caribbean now. It's just destroyed.
Tell me about the birth of your drag. I know it kind of came from a chance meeting with Bob the drag queen. Is that true?
That's right, but all the same, I can still paint my face.
Tell me that story, though. You kind of ran into Bob, like, on the street?
That's right. I ran into Bob on the street when he was trying to take a bookshelf home, and he was a stranger, but I thought, I'd help out. And then we got up to the apartment, and, he turned on the lights, and there was all these wigs and dresses, and suddenly I found myself in the clutches of a drag queen. Bob was kind of like, you know what, I do drag, and you should try it too. And I was like, maybe, which is gay for no.
It totally is, by the way.
Right? And
yeah.
But she kept nagging me, or he kept nagging me to try drag, and finally one day I did, and the moment I turned around and saw myself in drag in the mirror, I fell in love, and I became Miz Cracker, and he became Bob the drag queen, and the rest is truly now.
The rest is herstory.
Yeah.
What was your first week filming Drag Race? Drag Race. That's another show. Drag Race for the first.
The ultimate edition that's coming next season.
Yes, honestly, there's so many franchises we're gonna have.
Drag Race.
Drag
Master
Race.
Chef.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Widow Von Du was on a couple of weeks ago and said that the challenge that she would add would be a cooking challenge. I thought that's genius.
They make him do everything else.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we decorated pancakes in season 10, but it's no. I mean, I can't even believe that happened.
Well, hey, I never say no to a pancake. But what was that first week like filming Drag Race? Because I know you're getting used to the cameras being in your face, you're used to the cast, you're used to being in this shut off from civilization, so to speak. How did you handle that first week?
Well, I remember a couple of us hesitated getting into our places on the main stage after a critique one day, and RuPaul shouted, "Come on now, you've been in television for 48 hours. You should know what to do." Just joking with us. And I think that really sums it up. We were all terrified. We didn't know right from left. You're in that environment, and then you're expected to behave like a rational human being. I don't know how that works.
Now, it's funny because for All Stars 5, we got to see you kind of painted in a different light. I know over the first couple of episodes, it was like, you were kind of edited. I don't know if it was edited or I don't know if it was what's going on, as like a little, not difficult, but we got to see a different kind of Miz Cracker being painted. Do you think that you were presented to the audience differently from season 10 than All Stars?
Well, one of the things that I always say is that I've now seen so many people represented on Drag Race that I know well, including Bob the Drag Queen and Thorgy and everything. And what always really strikes me is that the edit really represents for me the person that I know in real life. And so I think it's so important for everyone to remember that the edit is a representation of the footage that was taken, that it's a real thing. You get to see into a person's mind, and you get to see how they tick. So I never question the edit.
I've often wondered, like, if some of the sound bites that are just random things that are like you commenting on something, and when I say you, it could be any of the drag queens, but I've often wondered if they're being misplaced just to make it more entertaining. Did you feel like that's what happened to you, or?
Well, that's what's the wonderful thing about drag queens, is if you have a group of drag queens, you don't have to carefully place anything that they say in order to make them entertaining.
True.
That is very true.
They're doing their job right.
As I mentioned in your intro, you have been a busy girl during COVID. What has inspired you to keep you busy when the rest of us are binging Netflix and ordering Postmates 3 times a day?
What has been keeping me busy?
No. What has inspired you to be like, I'm not going to take this time to kind of just take a step back and, connect with my fans digitally? You have worked on some hardcore projects. What has kept you inspired to keep working as hard as you have been?
I don't want you to misconstrue. I sleep 14 hours a day.
That's not true. Is that true?
Very true. If I say only one serious thing, it's that I sleep. I go to bed at around 9 o'clock, and then I wake up at 8:30. And then once I've been awake for long enough to figure out that things aren't over yet, I go back to sleep for a nap for a while.
Wow.
And so everything that I've done in that small window of consciousness.
But I love that. So it's like concentrated good work.
Concentrated good work. And that's what it is. I guess that's why I've been busy, because I've been mostly asleep. So I just don't want people to think that that I'm some kind of busy bee or like some superhuman. I'm not. I'm just like everybody else, and that this thing has hit me hard and just made me absolutely miserable. But my one little ray of hope is that even if you are completely discombobulated and thrown down and just knocked unconscious by this thing, you can still get a thing or two done. In my case, 3 things. I got 2 singles out and a podcast.
Well, that's some pretty hefty things. I checked the mail one day, and I brushed my teeth the other day.
I love hefty things.
Hefty.
And the podcast is a very positive thing to get done. And so it's like, take that into consideration. You're not just, throwing out something for laughs. You're actually doing something really good with that podcast.
Yeah, I figured that Trixie and Katya had the comedy covered for all of us drag queens when it comes to podcasts and books and YouTube series and everything like that. So I was like, what can I do that really speaks to what I want to talk about? And feminism is a huge part of my life, because I was raised by women and continue to be raised by women. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this podcast, and I All Stars 5 afforded me the opportunity to break free and realize that I can do what I want without thinking about what anyone else thinks now.
And we did talk about that before the show. We enjoyed the premise of She's a Woman so much because, like you said, there's a lot of other queens that have their own podcast out there, and they do it very well, but they're really focused on humor, pop culture, kind of throwing shade in a fun way, being a mean girl. And you've taken this opportunity. You've taken your audience base. You've taken the voice that you have to bring a positive light and build people up, especially in this social and political climate where we're busy tearing each other down.
I think you did a really good job of defining your brand and going for it.
Thank you. I really hope that it makes people happy. That's why we put a little good news gobbet at the very beginning of each episode, because we really want to make people feel good. We really want it to be a positive thing. And it's a wonderful thing for me because I get to set aside comedy for a minute, which frankly can be draining, and just foreground somebody else, and that's a wonderful thing that a lot of queens don't get to do.
It's a great mix though, because we still get the comedy aspect. We still get the hey girl, like that's all part of
I
it.
still make weird noises.
Well, there was a few noises. I'm like, oh, what orifice did that come from? 'Tis the season.
You know, well, just the interview you did in this.
Who has seen the wind? Neither you or I.
Just this interview you do in the first episode. I mean, the gal who runs and owns that bookstore is working while you're interviewing her, and just the situation itself lends a little bit of comedy and lightness to it. But you know, it's still getting a very good point across while you're doing it, and still authentically being you.
I'm working during this interview. I'm actually giving a hand job right now.
I don't see your arms moving, so
it's a ventriloquist hand job.
Oh my God, that could be a podcast right there. But
ventriloquist hand job.
Yeah, boop. Tell our audience about the woman that you interview in episode 1, because episode 1 is out. You can listen to it right now. You can listen to it whenever you have time. But tell us about the woman that you featured in episode 1.
Well, in episode 1, we feature Janine Cook, who runs essentially a feminist bookstore in Philadelphia. It features women, particularly women of color, on its shelves. You know, you would think this is such a positive venture, but she has received flack and hate from some individuals in the community. And so instead of responding in kind, she has responded with absolutely beautiful protests that are almost like performance art. And because of this, she's been embraced by her entire community. And they've turned the bookstore into a really a meeting place and a community center, and like an inspiration for young women all over Philadelphia, and now I hope like all over the world.
Now, why must gay men support women so much? Why is it essential?
Well, I think, you know, to put it quite simply, you know, women on a comedy side of things, you know, who took us to prom? Women. And we owe them that. Yes. But then women like Marsha P. Johnson were throwing bricks on our behalf too. So you have a history where women have been giving and giving and giving and giving to queer men, especially cis gay men, and to queer rights movements. And why have an allegiance? Why have allies if you don't have love flowing in both directions? You know what I mean? So you know, women have been allies to us. It's time for us to give back.
I feel like the oppressed have to stand up for each other, I mean, because that's where our unity and our numbers come together. So, you know, we would be remiss as gay men if we didn't stand up for women. Then, you know, we're just we're just hypocritical of anybody else who's discriminating against us. So we've got to stand up for each other.
That's exactly right. Until we're all equal, none of us are equal. Especially now with this new administration coming in. I mean, the role of women is up front and center.
Yeah.
It's a really special time. We've been through crap for the last 4 years, so it's kind of exciting, actually, to see what we're going to be able to do, because I think we've engaged a younger generation politically that would never have been engaged unless we've been through the crap we've been through in the last few months.
Now we just need Georgia.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Georgia. Miz Cracker, you told us a cute story about your sister, but what other women in your life have been a huge inspiration to you?
Nicole Kidman's wigs.
How about her jackets, girl? And her jackets.
I mean, obviously, like women like Dorothy Parker, Sarah Silverman, and so many other, you know, great wits, Virginia Woolf. Have been huge inspirations for me, but it goes on and on, and especially the women in my family are huge inspirations to me. My grandmother, who traveled the world and was a poet, and my mother, who is a painter, and my sister, who is an ER nurse. You know, these people have shown me that being a woman can mean so many things. And they have shown me that being a woman can be expansive enough to even include me. So I thought I'd try my hand at it.
Well, and a huge shout out to your sister working in ER. I'm sure is not hasn't been very easy. So, hey, girl.
No, she was recently reassigned to the COVID floor too.
Oh my God.
Like being a mother and a caretaker to our mother. she really has taken on the most challenges that I think a person can take on in a time like this.
Podcasting, as now is not as easy as it looks. It's not just recording your voice and being like, I have. Everybody says I should do a podcast, so I'm going to start a podcast. Wah wah. What have been your big right? People just don't understand. It's not just talking on a microphone.
I thought it was. That's why I started. Can I back out now?
Is it too late?
No, you're so good at it. You are in it to win it. But what have been your biggest challenges, and what have you learned about yourself the most from this podcasting experience?
Getting to know the guest is the biggest challenge because, they've been asked questions about themselves every day, all the time. You don't want to repeat a question that they've already heard 1,000 times. So it's just like you have to know them inside and out, not only their story, but what they've already been asked. And then for me, it's been an object lesson in grace because I am a drag queen and I love to put myself first and I love to push myself forward, and I've had to learn to be a hostess and foreground somebody else, and sometimes that means shutting up, which you can tell I'm not very good at.
It is an art form, and it's to dance that fine line, whether engaging with your guest, being excited and kind of showing them all the research that you've done, but then also taking a step back
and listening.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, if I were to do that in my relationships, I probably wouldn't be single.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's talk about your holiday music, sure to become new classics. Your two singles are very, very different. We have 8 Days of You with Jujubee, which is a big celebration. In fact, to our audience, we are going to actually take a look at 8 Days of You. Then we have the total opposite, Get Me the F Out of Here, which is about the shittery that can happen during the holidays. What are some of your craziest, fun, worst holiday memories that kind of, encapsulate these two songs?
Oh my God, my worst holiday memories. All I could think of is everyone in my family is so noisy and awful that my mom started choking on a brisket at one point, and instead of telling everybody she was choking, she wandered off and closed herself in a closet so she could die in peace rather than deal with the noise of the family. And for me, that's always just a defining moment, when I realized how dysfunctional my family was, that my mother would rather choke to death in peace in the closet than deal with the dramatics and the noise of her family. And you know what? Honestly, now, same.
You could write a sitcom about that stuff. You should get busy. Just start telling your stories.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
That is funny because that act in itself is pretty dramatic. It's like, I just want to be alone with my brisket.
Exactly. Oh, my God.
I'm going to die in peace.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'll be over here.
Of course, if I was going to die, I would want to die choking on a piece of meat.
Oh, yeah.
Bah, bah, that's what we did.
Oh,
she went there.
Miz Cracker, what are the biggest misconceptions about Hanukkah?
The biggest misconceptions about Hanukkah, I think, first of all, is that it is the Jewish Christmas.
Yeah.
People think that it's the most important holiday of the Jewish calendar. It is certainly not.
Is it the most fun, though?
And I mean, not by a long stretch. But it is the most recognized, and it's really our way of thumbing our massive noses at Christmas. That's what it is. And also that you are lucky because you get 8 days of gifts. Well, you get 8 days of somewhat shitty gifts before you get one good one. So I think that people are like, oh, I wish that we had 8 days too. Blah blah blah. I'm like, well, think about it. You have 12 days of Christmas. So does that benefit you in any way? No.
Plus, we kind of took it over when we did Secret Santas, which we all know. People are like, should we do Secret Santas this year? And it's like, do I want shitty gifts? Yeah. It's always shitty gifts.
You're going to get somebody's white elephant leftovers.
Yeah.
Please welcome to the stage, Miss Shitty Gifts.
Yeah. And there's always that $3.99 bottle of Barefoot that somebody brings that we still fight over at the white elephant.
Or a sex toy.
Absolutely.
A sex toy? Well, that's not.
Or
sex toys are expensive.
Toy. No, that is, yeah.
I mean.
Well, not all are. You've been treating yourself.
I actually, No, but. Now, I know She's a Woman tour was ready to go. And the city list, by the way, you can still go to MizCracker.com. The city list, you literally are going to be everywhere. So no matter where you are in the nation, you can travel to see Miz Cracker on stage. But Coven stepped in and said, wait, girl, what is the first thing you are going to do when your toes hit the stage in front of your first live audience in 2028?
Oh, I'm going to scream, she's a woman. That's what I'm going to do.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to do. She's a woman!
It's gonna be like a 10.
Doing that.
It's gonna be like a 10-minute standing ovation.
Oh,
we got 10 minutes of that when you started your podcast.
That
was great.
And really go for it.
What is your ritual before doing a live show that's this kind of where it's about your personality? You're not going up to lip sync. You're actually one-womaning this show. What's your preparation before you step on stage? What are you doing a half hour before? Are you doing breathing exercises? Are you doing a mantra? Are you doing lines of Coke? Like, what are you doing?
I have a Red Bull.
Okay.
And I spill my Red Bull. So that's why I and my rider, the only things that I ask for are a Red Bull and a towel.
Oh my God. Well, they probably go, okay.
Yeah, they're like, what? I'm like, because I'm going to have half of a Red Bull and I'm going to spill the rest on accident because that's kind of the Amelia Bedelia klutz that I am.
I love that you said Amelia Bedelia, by the way. A lot of people don't know Amelia Bedelia.
Yeah,
I don't know.
People don't know, but they're about to know because they're about to see her on stage. That's really Amelia Bedelia Incorporated is what my friend Monier used to call me. Let's see, and I'll sit down with my co-pilot, my partner in crime, Caitlin, and I'll say, we're going to do a really good show today, right? Then you go out there and do it. Then it's over. It's time to do the show, and it's a rush, and it's terrifying, and it's all those things, and I miss it.
Now tell me about the first 20 minutes when you get home. You're done signing autographs, you're done taking your fan pictures, and you're on your own, you're by yourself, and you're at home or in your hotel room. What's the first 20 minutes like?
Grinder.
Food.
Is Grindr
it's just food.
a part of it?
It's just food. It's all food.
What's your go-to road trip food? Mine's always a burger and fries.
I will have a hamburger. Yeah, hamburger and macaroni and cheese. That's right. And that's how we got in the situation that we're in right now. I'm having to count my calories now.
Girl, join the club. My Zooms lately have been like, my eyes is all you need to see.
Right, exactly. Like.
Ooh. So, Miz Cracker, I don't know if you know this, because you have a huge following now on Instagram, so I don't know how many messages you're actually getting or whatnot. But your booty was a star of All Stars 5. What are your DMs looking like, and what's going on with love and dating from Miz Cracker?
Well, I honestly have to field a lot of dick pics. And
have
that's
to?
why it's so
you poor thing.
For me that well, not all dick pics are good dick pics.
That is so true.
So it's very important for me that my social media manager is able to sort them into the goodies and the baddies.
This is the funniest thing
to me. Only the most important ones, and usually she likes to pass to me only the ones from people I know and care about, because those are the most important dick pics.
So let's be honest. Chris Evans sent you his pic before he released it to the world. Is that true?
There it is.
Captain America.
I'm ready for it.
But what about love and dating? You're so busy, and you're a career woman. Do you have time for that? Are you interested in that?
Well, most people that are dating still don't have time for it, but they wedge it in anyway.
So to speak.
But I don't make time for that part of my life. Though I imagine now that COVID has wreaked havoc on everything, I should find a way to do so. Maybe I can go on one of those wonderful Grindr dates that I keep hearing about. Like there was one recently here in New York where someone went to a hookup and got hacked apart by a machete.
Oh my God! See, that terrifies me.
Yeah. Oh, I am so careful with that stuff.
What I'm missing out on.
Okay, but did they walk in with this machete and like this big machete-sized backpack? Like, how does somebody miss somebody bringing a machete to the date?
let me clarify. The person came over, and the person who was hosting had the machete.
Ah! Oh, that's why. Just do it in public parks, like God intended. You know.
That's why you meet at Starbucks first.
Starbucks.
My producer is telling me that this happened like a block away from me.
Oh my God.
Yes. Children.
You gotta
Take
be careful.
Now, you know when they make the Lifetime movie version of your life, they're gonna put the machete killer in there somewhere.
Oh, absolutely.
They're gonna tie you
Absolutely.
right into it.
Talking about your persona, Miz Cracker has become such a big persona on its own. Do you ever feel lost in this persona? Like Miz Cracker is taking over who you are in real life?
No. Miz Cracker is just me in a wig. You know, so we're so much the same person to begin with that I don't feel like she's taking over. There was a time when I felt like my work was taking over my life because I was touring so much, but luckily the Lord stepped in and severed me from touring for a full year. So I've gotten to spend a lot of quality time with myself, and I learned really the reason why I didn't want to do that.
But you have done such a great job. Like a few queens have done such a great job of taking the voice that they get from Drag Race, but then establishing your own brand and showing more talents than you're able to show on a reality TV show, such as your podcasting, such as your one-woman show, such as your comedy, such as your music. And that takes work to build that brand and maintain it.
When you think about it, there's like, how many queens have there been? There's been, 12 seasons now? 11, 12, 13, whatever.
Plus, they also,
not counting Canada and UK and all those other series.
And Drag the Rice.
So there's literally been like 150 plus queens introduced, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so how do you stand out and, not everyone gets to be Bianca Del Rio, right? You know, so it's like you've done a really good job, like I was saying earlier, with your brand and finding something really positive to do because, you know, you can only sit around so much and be shady, you know what I mean? And that's fun. And we all get good laughs about it. And, there's your lip sync queens and that's fun too. But, actually turning drag and doing something really positive with it, to, really showcase women and lift them up. I mean, that's amazing.
Well, the thing is, who knows how many more times in my life I'll be able to talk on to the press and on a podcast or on the radio or anything. So if I say one important thing is that so many people ask me, how do you find balance in your life? And the thing is that I don't value balance. I don't value a work-life balance. I don't even know what that means. If you are always looking for a balance, you're never going to be able to find your dreams because that's not where dreams don't come out of calm and balance. They come out of total commitment, complete hard work, and like inhuman sacrifice. that's what they do.
Preach.
If you want something from the gods, you have to sacrifice something, and you sacrifice yourself. So if you enjoy dating and if you enjoy having brunch with your friends, I'm probably not going to bump heads with your dreams ever. You have to give that stuff up.
I'm glad you said that. I find that very motivational. We have a younger generation that is the Instagram generation that they think because they have all these Instagram followers because of shirtless pics or whatever that they're famous, and they forget that it is hard work. It's daily work to be an entertainer, to have a voice, to be a celebrity, so to speak. And
Well, nobody said anything about that.
Well, I mean, seriously, how many people are getting, to your point, famous because of their looks or their ability to take the perfect picture or, and then you find out they're, about as deep as an inch of rain, so you've got to have something, that's more than skin deep.
I like that phrase, deep as an inch of rain.
Yeah. Miz Cracker.
That's the name of my forthcoming book, Deep as an Inch of Rain by Miz Cracker.
I call copyright on that.
Yeah, you better copyright that
Copyright
real
that now.
fast.
Somebody
You get 15%.
Get my lawyer.
How is Miz
My
Cracker?
manager will take 20, you take 15, and I'll take the rest.
How are you the most different from the Miz Cracker that we see on camera?
My boy name is Max. When I'm Miz Cracker, I'm awake, and when I'm Max, I'm asleep.
Oh, wow. Okay. I like that. What goes through your mind when you think back of the first day you did drag professionally to current day when you have a global voice, 1.1 million followers on Instagram, million plus downloads on your videos? What does that do to your to look back and see, wow, I mean, that's huge. Everything you post, everything you say is listened to by millions of people. When you look back, putting on your first professional...
Back in time and tell myself that, you know, I always thought I was on the verge of happiness and that I was on the verge of doing something great and that something wonderful was just around the corner. I wish I could go back and tell myself that every single day needs to be appreciated, that you're not on the verge of something, that you are in the middle of something, and that, you know, with this moment now that you look back as not being good enough, one day you'll look back on it and realize how great it was and that you didn't appreciate it when it was being drag in broad daylight in the David's bridal wedding dress in Times Square.
I love that. Now, you speak Wolof, which is the language of Senegal, correct?
Wow, man ngi dégg si Wolof.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Can you teach us a cheers in Wolof?
A what?
Can you teach us like a cheers in Wolof?
Yeah, exactly.
Tabarigala. Yes, girl. Are you ready to play a little rapid fire with us?
Yes, I am.
What do you want most this Hanukkah for the big gift?
Peace.
Challenge you would add to Drag Race?
Oh, cooking. Katherine Heigl. No, I was.
Oh my God! Oh God, girl.
Amy Winehouse.
Oh,
Okay.
good one, good one.
Oh my, Katherine Heigl. That's rude, Miz Cracker. She's working at the Subway in a Kyokushin fight.
Bob the drag queen, because I gotta beat the bitch at something one day, you know.
Celebrity you would most like to give a drag makeover to?
Oh, I don't name. Wow.
Rapid fire.
well,
And from Coco and from...
Because
Oh, God, he's so...
Maleducation, yeah.
Yeah.
He's dreamy, and he actually played a drag performer, and I want to see what a Miz Cracker makeover would be like on him.
I am all for that. Whatever you film with him, I'm going to watch, whether it's for just for fans or
absolutely. I will be rewatching it as well.
Miz Cracker, tell our audience where you want them to find you and follow you.
All right, you can find me on Instagram at MIZ_Cracker. But most importantly, you can find me on she'sawomantour.com, where you can buy tickets to my upcoming tour. It has a brand new stand-up.
But you better get those tickets because they are going to sell out. Everything that you're putting out has just been... you put out 8 Days of You, and the downloads are just going crazy. And we have a little gift for our audience. We're going to take a little peek at 8 Days of You. Miz Cracker, you are a gentleman and a sweetheart. Love you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now you can go to bed
because
it's
having me tonight.
Oh, girl, please. And now I know it's past your bedtime because you should have been asleep a few hours ago.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I have to be up at 8:30 after all.
Oh.
From 8 days of you, my TV wife, my hashtag life. We both lost twice, 3 times. We're kibitzing at the table, and I'm spinning like a traitor mask. 8 days of you, it's all I've ever wanted. 8 days of you, with your face in my armpit. You don't need to bring me roses, keep your pretty peepers open, so I can lick your eyeball. 8 days of you. Someday in a while, you'll walk down the aisle with somebody who's not me. But for just these 8 days, 8 days of you. heaven. 8 days of June, you'll be my shade of Punam. Tis the season to be gross. I'll pick your scalp and bite your nose and pop that sit under your pillow. Oh my gosh, what time is it?
It's time for you to go.
No, it's time for dinner, silly.
Oh my God. Oh, the blouse from Laos, my favorite lady.
Oh, I love you so much, Miz Cracker.
Am I your favorite snack?
Oh, you're my favorite everything.
Oh my goodness, what a mensch.
Mensch?
That was Miz Cracker and 8 Days of You. All right, I want to welcome our next guest. Star Trek fans went crazy when we found out that actor and activist Jonathan Del Arco would be returning 27 years after his first appearance as Hugh, an iconic fan favorite from Star Trek The Next Generation, to CBS's Star Trek Picard. We also, of course, love him as Dr. Fernando Morales, Doctor, a role that spent 10 years over the course of 2 series, The Closer and Major Crimes. Of course, we love his other roles on Nip Tuck, The Sopranos, 24, Crossing Jordan, Huff, Star Trek Voyager, by the way, The Wonder Years, Blossom, Boy Meets World, Miami Vice, NCIS, and The Crazy Ones with Mr. Robin Williams. Foregoing college at age 18, he joined the company of Broadway's touring hit Torch Song Trilogy and toured the country alongside Golden Girls' Estelle Getty. Many other Broadway and off-Broadway plays followed before he settled in Los Angeles, thank you, Jesus, to pursue television and film. And as a passionate activist on behalf of LGBT rights, immigrants' rights, and anti-bullying efforts and the environment, he has served as a campaign surrogate for President Barack Obama, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and, of course, Biden. He's a sought-after public speaker. He shared his coming-out story and childhood stories as an immigrant and survivor of bullying and discrimination at the first ever Pride event at FBI headquarters, the 2012 Democratic Convention, the Human Rights Campaign, and throughout corporate America. Set your phasers to stunning, and please welcome Jonathan Del Arco.
Oh my. Hello.
How are you?
We have to stop meeting this way.
We actually do. You know, you were supposed to be in the studio when we first set this up, and we're so excited.
I am honoring the COVID rules, my friend.
Yes.
100%.
Cheers, as everybody should be.
Good job.
I do have a cocktail, though.
Girl, so do we. Good. What's your drink of choice right now?
Well, it should be a martini because that's what I've been drinking at night. But you wouldn't want to. Well, you might want to hear me.
Oh, I do. I want some stories on martini in the evening.
That explains a lot.
You put it in your cereal, though, right?
Oh, I do. Fruit Loops. You don't want to see this Fruit Loop eating those Fruit Loops.
I like your snazzy Star Trek /
Yeah.
Who's the woman that does the all the business advice? You know, in her jackets. Who am I talking about? The lesbian. Oh my God, I'm
Rachel
blanking.
Maddow.
No, Susie Orman.
Rachel.
No.
Oh.
Yes. It's if Susie Orman were on the Enterprise. Okay. Do you see it?
There you
You
go.
know, I'm still Trevor gets me on the set. I will play that role. I mean, I'll play like the sassy janitor. You never see the janitor, by the way. All these starships with all these crew members. Where's the janitor?
I think you'd be like with Mr. Mott, you know, cutting hair and like getting all the gossip.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yes.
like the Laverne Cox on
Orange is the New Black.
Orange is the New Black. I love that.
Yeah.
So, Jonathan, there's so much to talk with you about, but I want to start. You're growing up. You were born in Uruguay, immigrated to the U.S. How were you raised in terms of balancing, pardon the pun, assimilating in the U.S. While being mindful of your culture and your heritage? What was that dichotomy like?
Well, I was young enough where I, you know, when you're 10 or 9 or 8 or younger into the American culture, you know, my parents didn't really speak English very well for a very long time, probably most of my life. And so we kept the Spanish and our Uruguayan culture happening at home. But whenever I was out with friends or whatever, I was definitely super gringo.
Of your growing up, you know, being raised, Latino, I was told, you know, you don't really speak Spanish. Don't tell people that our family's from Mexico right away because there's just
really?
the stigma.
No, we didn't have that at all. I mean, it was hard because I had older parents, so that was already super tricky because my parents looked older than all my friends' parents, and then they spoke broken English, and we were poor, and so I had a lot of shame around the poverty thing. I used to hide. This is a really sad story, but walk to my old house and wait outside for my friends to pick me up.
Wow.
That's how weird and sad that sense of not being equal to other kids can be when you're 10, 12, It's really, really hard.
Yeah.
Being young is just, I mean, those are difficult years. Isn't it funny? The older we get, the less we kind of care about that. We're like, meh, I am who I am. But what do you want people to understand the most about immigrants from your point of view? Because it's such a hot topic for this past administration and going forward.
It shouldn't be that difficult to figure out that if you're not Native American or African American, and you could be an immigrant and be African American, but basically people were brought here either as slaves or, lived here as Native American. You're an immigrant, my friend. You may not know it because you were born here, but we all come from the same, the U.S., what we knew this land to be, only the Native Americans were the ones.
The whole show, there's no host or anything. It's narrated, and it's all shot from drones. And it takes state by state, and it goes city by city, and it talks about the history, the good history with the Native Americans being kind of pushed away, and then the city is kind of built how we know it today. But that is the ongoing theme, and it's just so fascinating that it's like, yeah, every state has America. It's a great piece of history.
That's great.
But I want to talk to you. So I'm a theater boy. I want to talk to you about your early theater days. If you know days of living in New York, we're like, oh, we have this picture of you. This is you in Greece, by the way. I think in high school. Was this you?
That's in junior. That's actually in junior high.
Junior high school.
God. And the guy, they're all cute, but the guy
they are all
on top
cute.
of the car. I had a total crush on, and then the blonde next to him, total crush on. He turned out to be gay. What a missed opportunity. And then the guy on the other side of the guy in the middle, right next to me, is the wedding coordinator, David Tutera. Do you know who that is?
Yes.
He has a reality show.
Yes.
That's David.
Oh my God, that is so funny. Now this looks like.
And I have the glasses on. I'm like I play duty.
Yeah. This could also be like the first single of Menudo. But
I was just
going to
say that.
Right, totally.
But
there's a couple of blondes, but yeah.
Tell me about those early days though in New York, auditioning for theater, probably struggling to pay rent, being able to hang out with such a diverse crowd of people. Tell me what you miss most about those days.
Absolutely nothing.
Oh.
No, I mean, you guys, listen, living in New York is really hard.
Yeah.
And when you're a young actor in New York City, the truth is that you really don't get to do all the amazing things that are available to you. And, I really got to enjoy the city much more when I moved to LA and would go home to visit my parents, or would go to New York, once or twice a year. On a theater visit or something. So I really enjoy the city way more when I didn't live in it. Living in New York, and it happens every time, the moment vibe,
the energy.
You can't describe it. It's palpable, and I feel incredibly alive when I'm there. But when I lived there, it was not easy, and I went through a lot of hard times when I was living there. So I don't miss living there, but I do love visiting.
I want to talk about being a cast in the touring production.
On a bit.
Yeah, but this is an iconic piece of theater, starring none other than Golden Girls as Estelle Getty. You were not out yet when you were first cast. Was there any trepidation about taking a role in such a controversial show?
I was still in high school, and there were 2 shows on Broadway that I could be in, and one of them they were both roles that Matthew Broderick had played, and I fancied myself to be a version of Matthew Broderick at the time. So I went up I submitted myself through the box office. I went into audition for it, and I was like 16, 17. I think I was 17 at the time. I had already been sort of auditioning for other things. I had a manager back in my hometown, and my birth name's Fernando. FYI, little trivia here.
Ay.
The character on, huh?
No, I was just doing a little ay. Oh, Fernando.
Well, yeah, actually, Fernando was my birth name, and that's the role. That's the name they gave my role on Major Crimes. Anyway, long story short, I submitted myself.
Oh my
like
Lord.
Dior, but Del Arco, like Christian Del Arco.
I love it.
Got a ring to it.
I'm from the house of Del Arco.
Yeah, from the house of Del Arco. So Christian sucked at that audition. Christian blew that audition for Torch Song, and so I was like, well, the hell with it. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna get a new resume, because back then you put your name on your resume, and I'm gonna go as Jonathan Del Arco.
Wow.
I'm gonna go in as a different person. So I go back in for Harvey twice. Months later, I went back in and I got the job. Wow. So never stop trying, kids.
Never stop trying. And you have a great photo where you're on the red carpet, and this is it's more of a recent photo.
It's recent. Oh yeah.
With Harvey, and you're wearing the Torch Song jacket, which I just love. What a circle of life! And now knowing that kind of too.
Oh yeah.
Now Estelle came to a profession later in life. Yep. Of course, we know and love her from Golden Girls, but she kind of got.
She was actually an actor early in life and left it to be a mom.
Yep. Right.
And then in her 50s, Harvey asked her to play this part in Torch Song back when it was at La Mama, off Broadway, and that really propelled her later career, which was epic, into her 70s and 80s. So yeah. We used to walk to the theater together because our part of the play was the last act. It was a very long play, and we were in the last act together, and we were buds. We lived near each other. We were on the road, and so she would pick me up. We would walk to the theater every night and talk, and we were pretty close friends for a long time.
That's very sweet.
What did you learn most from working with her?
She actually had. It's funny. The things you think about like years later, she actually was kind of a negative. She wasn't like the most positive person. She had a pessimistic bone about her. And I guess the thing I learned that, you always think like positive thinking is really, like you could really make something happen and all that. She was not that. You never know what's going to be handed to you. I mean, think about her career. She didn't hit the pinnacle of her career until she was already way into her 60s,
right,
when she got Golden Girls. And so just realizing that some things just come to you and you shouldn't try that hard, you know what I mean? So she was actually kind of getting ready to retire when we did Torch Song. She thought she was, she's like, I think I'm hanging up the spurs,
Yeah, it could have been there.
I'm putting the horse away. But then she came to LA and got Golden Girls.
Yeah, and you kind of at that point in your life where you just don't give a shit anymore, right? You know what I mean? And whatever happens. So I guess when you're not trying too hard, it just kind of happens for you.
Yeah.
It was great.
Now, traveling the road as a young man in a gay play, did you get into any shenanigans, Jonathan Del Arco? Oh, and here's a great picture, by the way. Here's you and Estelle.
Wow, you did well with the research on the photos.
Oh, girl.
Estelle.
I'm your stalker, by the way.
That's funny. I was pretty cute.
You still are, by the way. Do you know how many comments? So we posted about you coming on the show. If I could show you the DMs that I got, I'm like, can we have some respect here? It's like,
they slide into my DMs too.
Yeah.
No, I did not. I was not a bad boy on the road at all. I was not. Well, I did meet a guy toward the end there, but that was it wasn't like I was partying or anything like that. But I did meet someone I heavily crushed on, who was on the road as well and was cheating on his boyfriend. Oh. And then I got back to New York and I thought he'd be mine, and he was like, "No, I'm in a relationship." It's like, oh God, you should have told me that night, But no, I was pretty tame and I wasn't out, so I didn't really want to make a big deal about it,
But this show actually kind of helped you come out. I know that you came out at different stages. When you first filmed Star Trek, you were not an out actor. But the show kind of inspired you to deal with your sexuality and kind of be honest with the people around you about. But
absolutely. I mean, there were a lot of things at play at the time. I'm a kid. There's an AIDS epidemic happening. By the time I came out, maybe by the time I was doing Torch Song, people knew it was sexually transmitted. So the idea of all that was super frightening. And so there was a lot. I was bridled, I wasn't unbridled. I was very bridled by all the sort of scary, big things that were happening to the gay community, and the fact that I was an actor and I wanted to be in movies, and I wanted to be famous, and I just thought, well, you can't be gay and out if you're famous. So, but Torch Song, it just opened my eyes to the play was really ahead of its time, because if you think about that third act, Arnold adopting a kid, that's like what we've experienced in the last 20 years in America.
Yeah.
That wasn't really happening back in the 70s and 80s. You know what I mean? So the gay family, I think that he really wrote about that. It's a beautiful play.
It is beautiful, and I hope it's kind of revitalized like they did to Boys in the Band, but it was way ahead of its time. Even Harvey, as an icon now, he was ahead of its time as well.
Oh God, of course, yeah.
Now, as I mentioned in your brief intro, you have guest starred on so many popular TV shows from history. Of course, I mentioned Blossom, Wonder Years. These are even Miami Vice, I think, was one of your very first.
It was my first TV gig.
Yeah. What memory besides Star Trek? Because we're going to talk Star Trek. Trekkies, don't get mad. We're going to talk Trek.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay.
But what memory from any of those guest spots sticks out?
Absolutely. I mean, Hugh was a guest spot. We're going to talk about Trek, but definitely working with Whoopi Goldberg and Patrick were, two guest starring experiences that were a big deal. I loved, I did a play off Broadway, and I had this wonderful woman who's a director, was really loved my work and invited me to dinner and was really fantastic and mentoring to me. Her name is Jan Eliasberg. She's a director, TV director. And like 6 months later, I get offered a job on Miami Vice that I hadn't auditioned for. And I was like, what? How? It's impossible. No one knew me. And I get to Florida and I go into my fitting and there's Jan. And I said, oh my God, you're in this too? And she said, I'm the director. How do you think you got the job? And I'm like, oh my God. So that was a lovely way to start my on-film career, Yeah.
That is a great moment. And also, for all of you entertainment people out there, you don't burn bridges and never act out of turn on any set, because you never know who's going to be in your circle, because it's a very small circle.
It is. Yeah, always be professional.
Always be professional.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to have a little blast from the past. We're going to take a little look back at Hugh, and then we're going to talk all Trek when we come back.
All right.
All right, and we're back. So we have to talk Star Trek, Borg. In fact, my article with Jonathan is called "The Borg and the Beautiful." Let's take a look. Which that was my title. But let's take
I love it.
let's take a little peek, a little flashback at Hugh, one of our favorite Star Trek characters, in one of his first appearances. Let's take a look.
Why are you here?
This is a primitive culture. I am here to facilitate its incorporation. Identify yourself.
Hugh.
Identify yourself.
We are Hugh.
This is not a Borg identification.
Third of 5.
This culture will be assimilated.
They do not wish it.
Irrelevant.
They will resist us.
Resistance is futile.
Resistance is not futile. Some have escaped.
They will be found. It is inevitable. All will be assimilated.
Must Geordi be assimilated?
Yes.
He does not wish it. He would rather die than be assimilated.
Then he will die.
No. Jordy must not die. Jordy is a friend.
You will assist us to assimilate this vessel. You are Borg. You will assist us.
I will not.
What did you say?
I will not assist you. Jordy must not be assimilated.
But you are Borg.
No. I am Hugh.
Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Hugh is one of the favorite guest characters of Star Trek, most beloved, talked about. Jonathan, what is it about Hugh that we all love so much? What makes him so memorable and lovable?
The special sauce that I figured out when I was rewatching to bring him back on. I think the key is that that character taps to something that I think I've talked to you about before, something we all as human beings either fear or have experienced or will experience, and that is the experience of loneliness. We will all someday be alone, and that's just inevitable, either within our lives or at the end of our lives. And I think loneliness is a haunting thing that, I think this pandemic is showing us that, right? How incredibly hard it is for people that are living alone right now, that are isolated, that can't get a hug, that can't see their friends. Loneliness is a very real thing that I think people respond to, and I think the character kind of lives in that space.
Yeah. So I was kind of wondering, I rewatched this episode on Sunday night as kind of preparation for this, and a couple of things I noticed or noticed again, because I remember watching it first run, and I was, I think, in high school at the time. But, Hugh definitely reads as queer. He's never really introduced as. And so do you feel like maybe some of that loneliness that is Hugh also comes from being a closeted actor, not being able to be yourself, and there's just some loneliness in that?
Absolutely. I think it's all reflective of each other, right? I think the Borg they're really interesting in terms of like queer identification. I think on Picard, Hugh talks about a new identity and a new name being meaningful, and that's so meaningful to the transgender community.
Yes.
Being called by the right pronoun and being, having a new name. And Hugh says a new name can help you provide a new identity. So there's that piece of it. There's the disconnection from family piece of it. I had done that role after having lost my first boyfriend, to AIDS. So I actually played it kind of in the state of mind that he was in when he had dementia. So the loneliness thing didn't really kind of resonate with me at the time. I wasn't playing loneliness. It just was the character. But I think that is why it's resonated with gay people. That and the abs.
So
Which
true.
are totally not mine.
It's funny. I remember them before, but when I watched it Sunday night, I was like, wow, those are some Borg abs.
I hate to break the news, but they're plastic.
Yeah.
But you're returning to Picard made a lot of people watch your episodes over again to kind of reestablish that relationship, because it was so exciting. Yeah. We know, oh my God, Hugh is back, and it's like, well, let's remember exactly the storyline.
Right.
And then it has this whole new subtext now for people like us that have grown into our sexuality, our identity.
Right,
also, this political environment that we're in. It takes on a whole new meaning, and it really shows you how progressive the whole Star Trek universe has been on so many different levels.
Always.
And the XBs in Picard also have a bit of a, an immigrant refugee type of, feel to them as well. So there's that aspect.
Right. When we were shooting that, that was at the height of the kids in the cages, if you remember, 2 years ago. That was the height of the awareness of it happening. So, yeah, very much a part of the show.
Now, how did you, what was the first time you heard that Hugh was coming back decades later? Was it from your agent? Was it an email? Was it a phone call?
No, it was from it was on my birthday, actually, my birthday dinner, about almost a year before the show began. My friend who had created Major Crimes in the Closer had been hired to come be one of the writers and creators of Picard, and he was talking to me about it, and he said, I think Hugh would be an interesting character to bring back. And then I was a little skeptical about it, of course. And then the idea kept developing, I guess, through Alex and all the other writers and James. And then it was brought up again to Jerry and I at the Hollywood Bowl. That was the day that we really were like, oh, this could actually happen. So.
Well, and what a beautiful moment. But I know it's kind of bittersweet because on set, you were kind of kept hidden away. You didn't get to, you had to, be quarantined in your trailer before quarantining was a thing.
I know. I was a groundbreaker on the quarantine. We were kept hidden because, we were out in Santa Clarita. There were a lot of open space. There was a lot, I guess, paparazzi could have long lenses or whatever. And they didn't want the makeup revealed. No one knew at the time I was coming back. No one knew Jerry was coming back. No one knew Brent was coming back.
Yeah. So
we were all three kept. We weren't allowed to go get food or any of that. They would bring everything to us. So yeah, I was quarantined 100%. It wasn't, and I hated it because I'm a social butterfly. So I wanted to go out and talk and hang out and drink it in, but we were very careful.
What was it like revisiting the character after so many years? And keeping in mind all of your life experiences that you've been through.
Yeah. I'm wearing the same shirt. I have like 3 shirts. I love. It's one of them.
We love them too.
I love these with a little short sleeve. It was daunting coming back and recreating it and figuring out the connective tissue that got him from that last episode on Next Gen to 20 years later. Like, what in the hell could he have lived through? You know what I mean? So it was about filling in that blank space so I could find where he was now. So it was a lot of work, actually. It was slightly terrifying. I didn't want to ruin it for the fans. Right. Incredibly exhilarating and fun as well. So it was all those things. Really challenging.
Now, there's been an explosion of LGBTQ representation in all of the Star Trek franchises right now. In just the last year, of course, we have you being an out actor. Returning to the character, you come out as an out actor, having worked on some of the most important elections. We have Wilson Cruz and Anthony Rapp representing the first gay couple featured, and then we have trans and non-binary. Yeah. There are still some Star Trek fans that are still pushing against, they're the keyboard warriors, I call them, hiding behind their keyboards, saying hateful things.
I saw some awful memes just this morning.
I mean, it's awful. It's like, don't push your sexuality on me. It's like, hello, Captain Kirk. I mean, you want to talk about an STD poster? It's him. But what do you say to those Star Trek diehard fans that are saying, don't push your sexuality on me, this doesn't have a place in Star Trek? What would you like to say to them?
They should go back and rewatch Star Trek, because I think they've missed the whole point. Sorry, no, don't mean to offend you. Yeah. You might think you understand what the show is about. If you think the show is about special effects and being in space and cool costumes and all of that, then you don't really get what the show's about.
That's what Star Wars is for.
My opinion.
I was just going to say, that's what sets Star Wars apart from Star Trek. It's like action and comic book characters compared to complex family in space.
That's why I was very happy that these Abrams movies have kind of stopped, because they're fun, but
girl, you're gonna get some hate mail.
But they're fun movies, but they're not Star Trek in the sense they've made it more like Star Wars. They're more about shoot 'em up and whatnot.
Right.
I do enjoy them, especially Chris Pine, but it's not the Star Trek nuanced storytelling with a deep message behind it, and and that lens that makes us look at our own lives, and and makes you think about your own choices and decisions that you make.
Yeah,
I mean, I love that it. Look, the show is fun because it has all these elements, space and the costumes and all the things that are fun to watch. But I think that what really it's about is the human experience. So. Yeah. I mean, there's a non-binary episode of Next Gen, where Riker ends up on a planet with
and so
non-binary
badly
people.
too.
Well,
Yeah.
and somebody posted a meme about that. It's like, oh, you want to talk about non-binary? We already did it.
Yeah, and I think the characters that they're introducing now in Discovery are, they're trying to make up for that. Has Star Trek been perfect? No. I mean, it's a 54-year-old franchise, and it has made some mistakes. But the good thing is it's still around, and they have these opportunities to revisit and make them right. And, so Adira, there you go.
Well, and it's funny because we have the die-hard older generation, which, I mean, I'm the OG cast from the films, and I feel like an old man. I'm like, oh, wow, this new stuff, rah, 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 rah. But we're forgetting that the new generation of Star Trek fans are keeping the franchise alive, by the way. I mean, look how many franchises are on TV right now. But then it's also, we're having a language that we've never had. We're talking about pronouns on shows. And you guys brought up a whole idea with the Borg, that Borg are basically non-binary individuals. Yeah. And I had never thought of that.
I that struck me as well because, well, you first of all, their gender doesn't seem to be obvious, right? When they're Borg. So that would make them really non-binary in a way. You also, like, in terms of sexual preference, you really don't get a sense of that because you get a sense that they don't really have sex lives. The collective is everything. So it's a very interesting race of people.
Yeah, it kind of was interesting to see 7 of 9 as arc this season on Picard, to go from, she was a Borg in early season 4 of Voyager when we find her, to being, slowly, reincorporated into human life and trying to do, what's expected of her, and that includes, trying to date Chakotay and whatnot. But then to see her have evolved over 20 years or whatnot and find herself and come out, that's pretty cool. I mean, and that wasn't too in your face. You had to really pay attention to that.
It was so subtle.
Yeah.
And, Jerry Ryan was on every young straight boy's wall as a poster. I mean, she was the Farrah Fawcett to...
Rick Berman wanted that.
Yeah.
Well, let me show you. Let me go to my Instagram. I'm gonna break some news here for you. Hold on. Hold. Please hold.
Maybe Hugh and 7 of 9.
When we were at Comic-Con that year, whenever the hell that was, it was a while ago, announcing the show, we all had a party afterwards, and I took this photo. Let's see if I could find it. I took a beautiful photo of Jerry and Michelle, and I think I jokingly said, I think that needs to be a couple.
That looks like an engagement photo.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I showed it to the producers. I was a little drunk at the time, and they were like, "Oh my God, that's totally hot." So I think maybe I outed 7.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So not to get too political, but you have been heavily involved in the Obama, Hillary, and Biden campaigns. You have been a part of political history, the first black president, and now the first female and black vice president. This election, of course, had such violent and such a vehement atmosphere. How do you think we got to this point? I mean, when Obama was running, it was like, I disagree with you, but, this is still America. It is not the climate that we have had for this election. No. How do you think we got to this point? And I want your opinion working behind the scenes on all of these campaigns, because I have no clue how we got here all of a sudden. It seems all of a sudden.
Well, America hired a reality star.
There you go.
To be president. And he was able to rally a lot of people to really crazy ideas. And the Republicans in power have used him to fill all of those court seats. They have yesed him to death and have been complicit in stoking these divisions. That's why I feel everyone that's in Georgia needs to go out and vote in the special election, because we need to really take back the Senate so we can get something done, so that we can move the country forward. I'm doing a Star Trek event on Saturday.
Yes, you are.
If you go to electjon.com/Star Trek, you can make a small contribution and be able to join this event. There's about 18 Star Trek actors and Stacey Abrams moderating a panel. So it's gonna be fun.
Well, and I'd love to see the Star Trek community from so many different franchises coming together for something like this. And we know from like Marina Sirtis, there's a lot of strong opinions about what's happening, and I love it because if you are a true representation of the Star Trek universe, you know what's right. And
it's sad that it's Star Trek actors who are standing up for what's right, and not a lot of our government officials. But we'll take it nonetheless. It's amazing that you have 18 actors and Stacey Abrams. That's pretty cool. I mean, and I love that Stacey Abrams and Pete Buttigieg are major Star Trek fans. I mean, that just tells you something about. For me, when someone tells me they're a Star Trek fan, that tells me like fundamentally about a lot about them. And they already, are I don't say second base. It's a bad metaphor there, but what I mean. They're already further along in my opinion of them, than starting off without knowing that.
Yeah.
Well, Stacey's a hardcore fan. Yeah. We did a trivia contest at the last event, and she crushed them.
She was the first.
She crushed them all. Yeah.
And she's a Buffy fan too. Yeah. I mean, she is all over it.
I don't know. She must watch a lot of TV in the middle of the night because I don't know how she does her job and watch that much television. But yeah, she loves TV. Yeah, she's pretty great.
She's on the first episode of the new Star Trek podcast. I think it's the Prime something.
Oh yeah, the Prime director.
Yeah, yeah. She's the first guest on that, and she talks a lot about her and her sister watching Star Trek growing up, Next Generation especially. And you're like, yep,
yeah,
because I can identify with that. Next Gen was first run when I was 10 to 17, and
wow,
that defined. That defined, a lot of who I am.
My first crush was on Wesley Crusher, but then we talked about...
I was more Will Riker.
The fans that I got weird messages for. Mr. Del Arco is taken. He's been quarantined with his boo, and if you follow him on Instagram, you're going to see the most beautiful Christmas tree I have ever seen, by the way. It belongs like in Nordstrom's or Saks Fifth Avenue.
I think... Let's see if I can...
Oh!
Can you see it?
It's right there! Yes! Wow. Gorgeous! Okay. Gorgeous!
I hope you have more than one room so you could both go to your own space.
Yeah.
It's really important. Yeah, because, even if you love someone, everyone needs their own private time, I think.
Of course.
Yeah, finding your private time, communicating, accepting the boredom that comes with being quarantined. I mean, you're not going to fill every hour with something amazing to do. Yeah. You know what I mean? Try to cook for each other and do little special things because, none of us have been able to go out to a restaurant or to a theater and, going to a drive-in theater and doing things that were safe, but still, we order sushi. We do takeout sushi once a week. We have a sushi date. So
that's great.
I love that. Well, I cannot wait till we can hang out in person, have a martini, and you're going to spill some more Trek stuff that we can talk about here.
I will spill it all.
Are you ready to play a little rapid fire?
Sure.
Okay. What Star Trek character would you want to go to warp speed with?
I just don't think of Star Trek that way.
Girl, some of those uniforms are super tight. Come on.
I guess like the Chris Pine version of
there you go.
Of him. Yeah.
Remember that weird latex uniform Logan B?
Oh, we talked about this on your other thing.
Yeah.
God, let's switch it up. My campaign slogan: Jonathan for a good time.
I would have thought we were doing that.
Wow. Favorite Uruguayan custom or food dish?
I love dulce de leche. Favorite custom in Uruguay.
Love it. What other Star Trek franchise, past or present, would you want to star in, not as Hugh?
Past or present, star in, not as Hugh. Yep. Next Generation.
Okay. On Star Trek Discovery, Captain Saru is looking for a new tagline, like engage or make it so. What would Hugh's tagline be? Captain Hugh.
Captain Hughes the Kitso or
Yes.
something else.
Yeah.
It has to be.
It's like the
executing the ship to go.
Yeah, it's like the captain saying, "Okay,
Okay. Yeah,
drive."
yeah. Let's get it.
Let's get it."
Wasn't
yeah,
that one of the ones that was
let's get it. No.
like,
Girl,
Let's
I say
get it.
let's get it. Well, pre-COVID in West Hollywood, I'm like, let's get it.
Yeah, let's get it. Yeah.
Let's get it.
there's a lot
Let's have a kiki. So many years. It's such a pleasure speaking to you. Tell our audience where
Thank
you want them to
you.
find you and follow you, and tell us again about this
Sure.
event coming up this weekend.
Yes. So you can follow me on Jonathan Del Arco on Instagram or Twitter. I don't really check Facebook much anymore. And the event is on Saturday, the 12th that's ELECJON.com/Star Trek.
I love it. I love it. Jonathan.
And by the way, that's for both candidates. We're going to split the profits.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah, that is good.
That's coming up fast too. I think the election's January 5th, so it's not like it's like
Yeah.
off yonder. It's less than a month away.
Yeah.
Well, actually, people can start voting on Monday. So
Good.
if you're listening from Georgia, get out and vote on Monday.
Georgia.
I
Georgia.
know there's a Suzanne Sugarbaker line in there somewhere.
There is.
There's a
There
Suzanne
is.
Sugarbaker joke in here, yeah.
Excuse me.
We love you, Jonathan.
I
Thank
twirl
you.
that baton. I twirl that baton.
And
All
that
right, you
is the
guys.
light. We love you, Jonathan. Thank you so much. Live long and prosper.
Be well. Bye.
Star Trek character you would take to 10 forward.
Trip Tucker.
Vanilla pudding? Are you serious? Okay.
That southern accent of his just gets me.
Best Star Trek captain.
Janeway.
Oh. Least favorite Trek character.
Probably Wesley Crusher, but I don't want to pick on him too much. There's
know
got
why
to be
people
some.
are so against him.
You know what? I didn't like Neelix very much.
Nobody.
Didn't like
Nobody.
Neelix. We'll go with that one to leave Wesley
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah. Have you ever hooked up at a fan convention?
Guilty.
In uniform?
Started.
I love it. Star Trek storyline or element that made you roll your eyes. Mine is the instrument that fixes everything in Picard.
Oh yeah, that the imagine it and it'll come. There's been a few. There's that whole episode where it's one of my favorite episodes, and they basically figure out that all life in the universe is most life in the universe is related. It's the Picard, Data, Beverly episode, and this alien comes out and reveals that all these life on all these planets was planted by their species. So basically, the Romulans, the Klingons, the Cardassians mentioned again.
Dun dun dun.
Done. And the actress that played the head founder actually plays the alien. So it's confusing when you go back and rewatch it. It's like, what's she doing here? So
I do remember that
that's
episode.
it's a long explanation, but I love that episode, and I roll my eyes at the end every time.
Christos, tell our audience where they can find and follow you.
Oh, let's see. I'm on Instagram at GreekGeekSD, or I'm sorry,
CG.
CG.
Jesus.
You know, I should standardize my social media handles. So at GreekGeek_CG.
Yes. And you're also part of a great group on Facebook for gay Star Trek fans called the Federation.
Yeah, that Federation is purposely kept at a decent size. It's about 250 people right now. But with a group of people about, anywhere from 10 to 15 from week to week watching Discovery. And then we all started chatting about it, and we were killing our Facebook feeds with Star Trek stuff, and all of our family members and non-Star Trek friends hated us for it. So the Federation was born, and you really have to kind of, know someone to get into it, but it's grown, and it's gay men and a few women from all over. And usually it's like I meet somebody at STLV or whatnot, and you're gay, like, okay, you're in.
Yeah.
Because, we want that connection, and we want people talking. We don't just want
And it's
strangers
all
fighting.
Positive, by the way.
Oh,
it's so positive.
It's very positive, but it's a space, and then there is this 2 degrees of separation with everybody who's in the group, so it's fun.
I loved having you, by the way. I love having somebody that knows Star Trek as much, if not better, than me.
It depends on the series, probably.
That's exactly true. Well, that's all, folks. It's always a grab bag of fun here every week on The Rocks. Coming up, we have actress Anne Heche is coming by. A big thank you to our engineer, Kurt, our production assistant, Michael Vega, my guest co-host, Christos, and you, our fabulous audience. Stay happy, stay healthy, live long, and prosper. This has been another episode of On the Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks On Air. Find everything On the Rocks for free at OnTheRocksRadioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week, stay fabulous.